Breaking news! The Miami Dolphins offseason has taken another turn, and this time the spotlight is on none other than Tyreek Hill. Dolphins fans, buckle up because what we're about to cover isn't just speculation anymore. It's simmering frustration. It's questions about leadership. It's a decision that could change the franchise and reshape this team's identity heading into 2025. Before we get started, I want to hear from you. Do you support Tyreek Hill's departure? If so, hit the like button. If not, comment like, Hill stays. Either way, let us know what you think in the comments below. In recent months, Tyreek Hill has been in the news more off the field than on it, and that's saying something considering he's been one of the NFL's most electrifying wide receivers since joining Miami. But this week took things to a whole new level. Reports surfaced of a police response to an assault in progress involving Hill. No arrests have been made, no charges have been filed, but the mere mention of Tyreek's name in another controversy was enough to reignite the flame. And it didn't come out of nowhere. His history dates back to college, through his time in Kansas City, and now follows him into his tenure in Miami. Fans and analysts are now openly calling for the Dolphins to move on. The sentiment is clear, and no matter how talented he is, the distractions, lack of leadership, and shadow he casts over the locker room may be more trouble than it's worth. One content creator put it bluntly, only the Miami Dolphins would allow one player to make the entire franchise look like a joke. It's profound, but it touches on something real. This perception of a country club culture that lacks accountability and discipline. And you don't have to look far to see the results. Strong starts followed by late-season collapses and no playoff wins in 2 postseason appearances over 3 years. The core argument here isn't about Hill's stats. It's about what kind of organization the Dolphins want to be. Is Mike McDaniel going to send a message that behavior and leadership matter? Is Chris Grier ready to reshape the locker room culture? Those are the real questions. And despite Hill being a top 5 receiver in Dolphins history in terms of production, many believe it's time to move on. Now, let's talk about the numbers. Financially, trading Tyreek Hill doesn't make sense before June 1st. The dead cap hit would hurt, and the 2025 season could suffer. But post-June 1st? That's where it gets interesting. The cap hit drops, giving Miami some flexibility. And according to reports from Barry Jackson, the league consensus is that Hill's trade value could mirror what Davante Adams fetched last year. A conditional 3rd-round pick that could bump up to a 2nd-rounder based on performance. Not bad considering the baggage.
Here's where it gets even more intriguing. Imagine trading Hill post-June 1st, pocketing that conditional 3rd-rounder, and flipping your own 3rd-rounder for a high-impact veteran defensive lineman. Think DeForest Buckner. Think Eric Armstead. That's hypothetical, sure, but not out of the realm of possibility. Suddenly, that trade doesn't look like a rebuild, it looks like a retool. But what about the wide receiver room? That's where things get dicey. Remove Hill, and Jalen Waddle becomes WR1, followed by Nick Westbrook-Ikine and Malik Washington. That's a big drop-off. So how do you fix it? There's some creativity being discussed. Maybe Devin Achane gets more receiving reps, while Alexander Madison and Jalen Wright handle the run game. Maybe Jonnu Smith gets more involved as a pass catcher. Maybe even a tight end gets drafted. But let's say the Dolphins do want to use that 1st-round pick at 13 on a wide receiver. 3 names have surfaced: Tedora McMillan from Arizona, Matthew Golden from Texas, and Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State. All talented, all potentially dynamic. Golden is the speedster, 4.29 at the combine. McMillan is the big-body target Miami's been craving at 6 feet 4 inches. But here's the kicker. Drafting a receiver at 13 still doesn't make sense. Not with bigger needs at left guard, defensive line, and cornerback. Even if Hill is gone, the Dolphins are better off filling those holes first. Now, round 2, pick 48, that's where the receiver conversation becomes more viable. Names like Eric Iomenor from Stanford, Jalen Higgins from Iowa State, and Kyle Williams from Washington State, who already had a top 30 visit with Miami, are in play. Or maybe they go even deeper, targeting a receiver in the 4th or 5th round where they hold multiple picks. Players like Pat Bryant from Illinois or Torrey Horton from Colorado State could develop nicely in this offense. And don't forget about free agency. If Hill goes, Miami could sign a veteran. Tyler Lockett, Keenan Allen, and Amari Cooper are all still out there. Imagine a room with Amari Cooper, Jalen Waddle, Westbrook-Ikine, and Malik Washington. That's not just serviceable, that's competitive. So here's the real picture. the Dolphins are at a crossroads. Tyreek Hill is still WR1, but for how much longer? If the Dolphins want to change the culture, the time might be now. A post-June 1st trade could clear cap space, allow for veteran signings, and bring in future draft capital. It's a bold move, no doubt, but maybe that's exactly what this team needs to finally take the next step. What do you think, Dolphins fans? Is it time to move on from Tyreek Hill, or is his on-field production too valuable to give up? Should the Dolphins draft a wide receiver early, or look to free agency for reinforcements? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, because if you're still with me, Dolphins fans, then we're about to go even deeper into what the post-Tyreek Hill world could realistically look like in Miami. We're not just talking about the emotional shock of moving on from your most electric playmaker. We're talking about a complete philosophical shift in how this team is built, coached, and ultimately led. And that leadership question is at the heart of all this. Mike McDaniel is an offensive mind that brought innovation and firepower to this team, but now he's under pressure not just to produce stats, but to produce a culture. And let's be honest, culture hasn't been Miami's strong suit lately. Reports of players being fined for showing up late, the lack of discipline in key games, the country club atmosphere. It all paints a picture of a team that looks sharp in September but fades fast when things get gritty in December and January. So what does sending Tyreek Hill out the door accomplish, aside from clearing cap space and gaining a future draft pick? It sends a message. It tells every player on this roster that accountability is back on the menu. That locker room distractions, however talented the source, won't be tolerated. And that might be worth more in the long run than one more 1,000-yard season from Hill. But culture changes only matter if you back them up with results. That means the Dolphins can't afford to whiff on how they rebuild the wide receiver room. Draft strategy becomes absolutely crucial here. You don't replace Tyreek Hill with one guy. You reconfigure your entire offensive identity to distribute the production more evenly. Let's say you take the conservative but smart route. You wait until round 4 or 5 to draft a receiver. With 2 picks in each of those rounds, you've got the flexibility to take a flyer on a developmental guy with high upside. Someone like Torrey Horton out of Colorado State, 6 feet 2 inches, explosive after the catch, or Pat Bryant from Illinois, who has strong hands and body control. These aren't plug-and-play stars, but they're the kind of guys who can grow within the system and benefit from not being forced into WR1 roles immediately. That's where adding a veteran comes in. Of the free agents still available, Amari Cooper might be the most complete option. Yes, his stint with Buffalo wasn't ideal after leaving Cleveland, but that doesn't mean he's lost a step. In fact, his route running and savvy could pair beautifully with Jalen Waddle's speed and shiftiness. Add in Malik Washington's potential as a breakout WR3, and suddenly you've got a balanced, veteran-led group that can still threaten any defense. And let's not overlook the strategic benefit of Devin Achane's versatility. He's already proven to be lethal in space, and shifting him into more of a hybrid back/slot receiver role could give McDaniel another chess piece to keep defenses guessing. With Alexander Mattison and Jalen Wright taking on more traditional RB duties,